Hi, I'm Josh Michael, and if my voice sounds familiar, you may have heard me on the radio. I've been able to do a lot of great events with Ingles over the years, things like Tools for Schools and the Ingles Magical Christmas Toy Drive. So of course, the topic of food was bound to come up eventually. I'm a fourth-generation Italian-American, and I'm a huge fan of all things food. In my family, cooking at home is really a way of life, and today I'm going to cook with you, sharing some of my very favorite family recipes. Today we're starting out at Ingles, getting the ingredients to make my Pop-Pop's Sunday gravy. But Sunday gravy is what Italians call pasta sauce. Here's what we need: 1/4 cup olive oil, half a chopped onion, 1 chopped green pepper, 1 package of pre-cut mushrooms, 2 big cans of whole peeled Italian tomatoes, 2 bay leaves, 2 tablespoons of oregano, 1 clove garlic chopped, salt and pepper to taste, 1 can of tomato paste, 1 paste can of water, half a cup of red wine to a cup of red wine, Merlot is what I usually use, and a package of your favorite pasta. Today we'll be using ziti. Remember, all this is on the website at ingles-markets.com, so you can print out a list and take it with you, or pull it up on your phone when you're at the store. Now, let's get cooking. All right, so I've already got my rigatoni boiling over on the stove here, but let's get prepped with some of the veggies and spices we have here. Got green peppers. We're going to chop these up nice and fine. A little secret for you: I'm a horrible Italian because I don't really like green peppers, so I don't put a whole lot in. My Pop-Pop, he put a whole lot of green peppers in his. This is one of my favorite meals to make because, one, it sounds impressive when you say you're making homemade pasta sauce or Sunday gravy, as we call it, but it has a lot of, it brings back a lot of childhood memories. My grandfather was actually the very first one in my family that was born here in America. So my great-grandfather brought this all the way over from Italy. I wanted to try make it. Here in the South, you know, gravy goes on biscuits and gravy on top of your turkey. But yeah, it's called Sunday gravy up north. It's gravy is another word for pasta sauce with the Italians. And the Sunday part just comes from, because it's a great thing to do on Sundays. A lot of families will get together on Sundays, go home after church, and then you throw everything in the pot and let it start simmering and enjoy some family time, and then it'll be ready for a late afternoon, early evening dinner or supper. The bay leaves are fun because we're gonna put them in, if you can see this, we're gonna put them in completely whole. And it's a little game that some of the Italian families play. If you, my grandfather would put some cash in the middle of the table, and if you had a bay leaf in your bowl, then you got to take one of the bills, whether it was a $20 bill or a $10 bill. And oddly enough, the bay leaf always ended up in either my brother or I's bowl. Right now, I'm just going to use a little bit of fresh oregano, and if you don't want to do this, you can go and get the oregano that's in the containers on the spice. But and sometimes I do that if I'm in a rush or if I don't have any. But it's always better to get it fresh. And all we're doing is pulling the leaves off here. We're going to chop it up a little bit and throw it in. Now, as you can see, I am in no way, shape, form, or matter a professional chef. All I do is talk on the radio for a living. But I think that's what makes this meal pretty cool, because it is a homemade meal. You're using fresh ingredients. And it's just, it's fun to be able to create something, and it's not hard to do. All you gotta do is chop some stuff up, get some tomatoes in there, and stir it all up and let it simmer. So you can make not only a homemade meal, but for me, it's a homemade meal that means a lot because it's my family's recipe, and you don't have to be a professional chef. All right, now that we have our fresh ingredients all chopped up, we're gonna take this on over to the pot here, and we're just gonna start building it. All right, this is when the fun starts. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna combine all these awesome ingredients, and then it's really all about the simmer with the Sunday gravy. We're gonna add, it says about 1/4 cup of olive oil, but you know, you just coat the bottom of the pot there and you'll be good. Now we have, over here, we have our whole peeled canned tomatoes, and we're gonna put these into the pot first before we turn anything on. And we're gonna once we get the big pieces of tomato out of here, then we'll dump the rest of the liquid in there too. We want all of it in there. There we go. Now all we're gonna do now that they're in the pot, we're just gonna break this up just a little bit, get these tomatoes nice and out of their whole. They're whole right now. They're peeled, but they're whole. I'm just gonna crunch those up a little bit. I've got all the spices next to me. I've got the tomatoes in here. The wine's already poured. I can smell it all coming together. Reminds me so much of Sundays. the Eagles on the TV. My whole family, huge Philadelphia Eagles fans. So every Sunday that they were playing, we were over at Pop-Pop's watching the Eagles and waiting for Pop-Pop Sunday gravy to be done. All right, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna get our burner going. All right, we don't want it too high. We're still gonna add all of our ingredients. And then really, like I said, with the sauce, with this gravy, it's really about to simmer is what you want. All right, we get those tomatoes smoothed out pretty good. Now we're gonna start adding all of our ingredients. We'll start out with our mushrooms, just regular old mushrooms you can get in the produce section at Ingles there. Already pre-cut and washed. It's good stuff. I put a lot of mushrooms in because I absolutely love mushrooms. Then we've got pre-chopped onions here. I'm gonna throw some of those onions in. All right, we've got our oregano, our fresh oregano. We've got our fresh garlic. Our fresh parsley. 2 bay leaves, whole is how we put them in. And we got our green peppers. Sometimes I wonder how long my grandfather spent trying to find the bay leaves in the pot to make sure they were in my bowl or my little brother's bowl. All right, finally we have our red wine. What kind of wine do you buy to use in a sauce or any kind of cooking, really? What I was always told was buy whatever wine you would drink with the meal. So that makes sense. Now we're just going to stir all this up. And at this point, don't freak out. It's going to be a little soupy, but it'll thicken as we let that simmer. Oh, this looks so good and it smells good. In fact, the first time that I made it after my grandfather passed, again, it was like 3 or 4 years after he passed away, I didn't tell my dad what I was going to make. I just invited Mom and Dad over for dinner, and this was on the pot, and as soon as he opened up the door, he knew what it was. He said, that smell, it brings me right back to your grandfather's kitchen. So now we're just going to set this a little higher than a typical low on a stove, and we're just going to let it simmer. We're just going to let it sit there for about 30-35 minutes, then we'll come back and check on it. All right, we've let the Sunday gravy simmer here for about 30 minutes, and at this point we're going to add some paste, and this is going to help thickening it up, and of course keep that tomato flavor in this. All right, we got all our can of paste in there. Then we're going to stir this up a little bit more. This is smelling so good. You get that wine that's cooking out of it, and you got all those different spices and vegetables coming out. Now at this point, you can kind of make a judgment call. The original recipe calls for a can of water. Just fill that up and add the water in there. But if your peeled tomato cans had a whole lot of sauce in it, not just the peeled tomatoes, a whole lot of sauce, you don't necessarily need to add that. So that's kind of a judgment call on your part of what you think you should do. All right, we got that stirred up nicely. Now we're just gonna continue the process of letting that simmer. It's been about 30 minutes since we added that paste and continue to let this simmer. It's thickening up real good. Oh, this looks amazing. Now, it's at this point that if you want to, you can add some meatballs or some Italian sausage to it, and then you'd let it simmer for another 15 minutes. But for today, we're gonna make this a vegetarian Sunday gravy. It's got nice thick chunks of veggies, and I think we're about ready to plate this and eat. So if the family's in the other living room, it's about time to call them on in. Well, we have the pasta and Pop-Pop Sunday gravy. It's all plated and ready to go, and look at that right there on top. The bay leaf is there, so if there's any money in the middle of the table, it's ours. We're out of time today, but I want to thank you so much for joining me here at the Ingles table. Remember, you can find this recipe, videos, photos, and so much more on the website at ingles-markets.com. Until next time, I'll see you online.